this is where you become responsible as Brits to stand up and say, hold on a second, this makes me ashamed of being even a British person, okay? This is something that we need to step in and therefore contact the MPs, okay? And say, do something about this. Well, hello, everyone. Today, we have Saleem Dadabhoy with us with a very, very interesting, disturbing case from the UK. Welcome, Saleem.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity, Sibel.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. And it's going to be very important to share this story with our viewers because we are delving into another area of Kafkaesque situations with the national security era and the laws that don't make sense. And of course, with all the new immigration policies and implementations we are seeing, especially in the Western Europe region, we are seeing in the US. In fact, it has been the headlines with all the latest immigration incidents here in the United States. I spent a while and read some of these articles written on your case, Saleem. And before we started recording, I was asking if you were familiar with the work of Franz Kafka. And Kafka has written a series of books on how, I would say, surreal bureaucracies can become. And this is especially the case when countries, nations turn into more what we refer to as police state practices. And your case fits within this. And Kafka's books include Judge, the trial. And the reason I'm saying it's Kafkaesque, we're going to get to that part. But before we do that, why don't we start with you telling us about your case? I believe you moved to England in 2010, correct?
Yes, I did. Yes, I came here in 2010 as a student. And I finished off my education as a chartered accountant in the United Kingdom. And then I started working. I applied under the Tier 1 General Visa category, which has certain points, points for education, qualification, earnings, and the number of years that you've lived in the United Kingdom. And then I applied for that for the visa in December 2011. The extension was due in December 2013, and then I applied for the indefinite leave to remain. So once you've lived 5 years on a continuous period, you can then apply for the indefinite leave to remain, which I did in April 2017.
This is a type of a business visa, is that correct?
Well, this is a highly skilled migrant visa. So basically, as long as you meet certain income thresholds and certain points, anybody can qualify for it.
Did you also bring in investment for the business you established in the United Kingdom, in England?
I did not bring any investment for the visa point of view, but my entire purpose of staying in this country was to invest into businesses. I belong from a wealthy family in Pakistan, and my entire goal of living in the United Kingdom was to establish businesses, was to buy businesses so that I can expand my family's business.
And from what I understand, your business where you started this line of work had showed a pretty good growth. In fact, from what I understand here, you have 20 or so UK citizens who are working and they are employed with this business.
When I started the business in 2012, the business worth was £5,000. Was the worth of the business in 2012. And in 2017, when we filed the final accounts, the business worth was 1.5 million. So yes, we have, in 6 years' time, we have seen tremendous growth. From having 6 employees, we have 20 direct and indirect employees. And we now submit 6-digit corporation tax figures.
Yes, I was going to bring that part up and saying that translates into some hefty taxes, especially in England, as far as what you have been contributing with your company to the to the public for the public's benefit in terms of taxes. So all these things are
Yes, I
going
mean,
well. You have your visa, and then something happens.
Sorry, Sibel, I would like to add here that the taxes that I'm telling you are just the corporation tax figures. My own personal tax figures are completely separate, which I submit on a monthly basis, which are obviously deducted of my salary and which is also deducted of my dividends. Now that is completely separate. So we've been paying into the system from day one.
So, Saleem, here you are, highly educated, you speak perfect English, you start this business and you start contributing hefty tax levels, both in personal tax and in your business tax categories to the government there in England. And this business is thriving. We have 20 plus English citizens working for this company. And have you ever had any criminal records?
I don't have any criminal records, not even a traffic violation.
Okay, so I would say it's fair to say you're in this category of highly desirable immigrants coming to countries, whether it's in the United States or in the UK. You know, we have seen cases of you have refugees coming as immigrants. You have people, it's unfortunate, but we have seen it. There are people going into Germany only to tap into their welfare system, you know, and they sit and they collect unemployment as soon as they get their residency because, hey, this is good. These are the benefits we don't get in our countries, kind of a mentality. But here you are, you go to the United Kingdom, you start this business, you have no criminal record, you speak perfect English, you're highly educated. So tell us what happened.
Before I answer that question, the other part of the question, I would like to inform you that the benefits that the system that gives to its residents, we do not, as non-European nationals, are not entitled to any benefit. So, as clearly mentions on my visa, that no recourse to public funds. So, I've never entitled, nor, and I'm not entitled, nor I have any intentions of claiming any benefits. So, we are solely contributing to the economy without taking any penny out of the system.
Does this apply to healthcare as well when you go to hospitals for any purposes? Can you take advantage of the UK healthcare system?
Well, you see, we pay national insurance on a monthly basis, which pays towards the healthcare. So it is part of my salary anyways, which gets deducted out of the tax. So indirectly, I am paying for it. And other than that, when you apply for an extension visa, there's a national health service surcharge that every non-EU migrant, or I think even a EU migrant, has to pay. So we're paying towards the NHS. It's not predominantly free. So you see, I am sort of paying towards it as an NHS surcharge.
So Saleem, everything here sounds absolutely fantastic. As I said, you are a perfect immigrant, actually contributing greatly to the system, to the country you have started this business in. So now all of a sudden, the same government, the UK government, they have decided that they don't want to renew your visa and they want you out. Now, how did this come about? What happened here?
It's a national scandal, as per the House of Lords members. Anyways, I'll tell you regarding my case. I applied for the indefinite leave to remain in April 2017. It takes usually 6 months for the Home Office to process an application. And it took more than 6 months for them to process my application. And in November 2017, they rejected my application, saying that the income record that I've submitted to the HMRC, which is the tax authority, is different to the income submitted to the Home Office. And therefore, I'm a person of bad character and conduct. And Article 3225, which is general grounds of refusal, was applied on me. And the visa was rejected without any right of appeal.
I mean, what does that even mean, what they are citing? What did they mean, the income being different, and this basically being a reason under the character, etc. flaw? I mean, how can you explain to us, what does that even mean, this?
Well, the Home Office are saying that in 2013, when I submitted my extension for the visa, I submitted an income to the Home Office. And that same income for that year does not match with the HMRC record. Therefore, I'm a man who's got a negative character. I've basically lied to the department, and therefore I'm a threat to national security, and I should be removed from the country without any right of appeal.
Okay, let me see if I get this right. Due to some explainable discrepancy, they have translated into a national security issue and a character flaw. I'm going to take a pause here from your side, and I'm going to read this. Actually, I'm so glad to see that Guardian UK covered this case. In fact, I saw two articles pertaining to this case. One was mainly, and we are going to provide the links to our viewers on this. But it says the controversial paragraph says these grounds include the undesirability of permitting the person concerned to remain in the United Kingdom in the light of his conduct, character, or associations, or the fact that he represents a threat to national security. So I went and checked this law. They have left it at this, and it is loosely worded, and there is no specifics, no details, no explanation that what constitutes national security threat, what constitutes character flaw. I mean, I know it's going to sound ridiculous, but with all the CCTV cameras in the UK, if I by mistake I'm picking at my nose in a metro, can they use that and say, well, that's a flaw we are seeing? I mean, it's so defective, it is so incomplete, and I believe on purpose, it has been worded in such a way, and we see that all the time here in the United States with Department of Homeland Security, TSA, they word it in such a way that it can mean anything they want it to mean. So you being on the right side of this case, once this started happening, this case, and by the way, your family, your wife and your child, this time at this period, they were in the country, right? They were with you. So you decided to challenge that by saying, okay, hold on a second. I can show you all my books. I can show you all my tax records. I can explain this in the courts. And you went into court and you started presenting your case before a judge there. We call them judge here in the United States. So tell us what happened.
Let me first tell you about Article 3225.
Sure, please.
The reason that they've rejected the application is on Article 3225, which is used primarily for criminals, where there are sham marriages, where there are travel bans, where there are serious misconduct in someone's behavior. That is where it can be linked to Article 3225 and the visa can be rejected. And let me also inform you that Article 3225 is not a mandatory refusal. It's a general ground of refusal. So as you say, it's very vaguely worded, and it is a discretionary use to the caseworker, where they can reject the application wherever they think it's appropriate to reject. Whether it's appropriate or not, that's another thing. That's another thing coming. One more thing I would like to add here is this is all part of the hostile environment which the Home Office has created since 2014, where we've recently found out, and you must be also aware of the fact that Amber Rudd, the Secretary of State, the previous Secretary of State, had to resign as she lied in the Home Affairs Select Committee about not knowing about deportation targets. So obviously they had to meet those targets to please their manifestos that they had pledged in the last elections. So whether you're legal or illegal, the Home Office would do whatever they can to get rid of you, because for them, all migrants are just numbers that they need to get rid of.
Why? I have to interrupt here. Now, considering the benefits you are bringing and many other immigrants who are doing the way you are, these are educated people. I've seen and I have read in the articles, these are doctors, these are attorneys, these are businessmen like yourself. Why? Why would they want to get rid of such people? Why would they want that?
but they just want to reduce immigration numbers, and they also want to reach those deportation targets, and eventually they want to fulfill their manifestos that they had pledged in the elections. Now, whether those manifestos were a lie to the public or they were cocked up, that's a separate thing coming. That's a separate thing. That's a separate issue to be discussed.
But in this case, we are looking at European countries that are also facing some employment issues and problems. And you're a guy here, you are an immigrant, legal immigrant, going there and providing jobs to 20 citizens there in the United Kingdom.
Absolutely. And Sibel, I would like to tell you here that it's not only, it's even the European people for the last 2 years who are facing a lot of difficulties, and they are, because since Brexit has happened, there is a lot of uncertainty in the business environment. And at this point in time, where you need highly skilled people like me and the highly skilled group that I am part of, which has got doctors, engineers, IT professionals, people who used to personally submit 6-digit tax figures, are all part of the scandal where Article 3225 has been imposed on them. And the irony of this is that they accuse us of some sort of criminality without any evidence, and then they don't even give us a right to appeal. So there is no right to appeal against it. And that is the shocking bit. I think that is a complete human right violation, where a migrant is being accused of criminality and is not even given a right of appeal.
But you took your case, you challenged this legally in courts, and in all the court hearings you have had, the courts in the United Kingdom, they all sided with your case, and they said, this is ridiculous, right?
Sibel, yes. What happened in 2011 when I applied for the Tier 1 extension visa? The Home Office rejected my application on the basis of deception, and I won that in court. In 2013, the Home Office again rejected my application on the basis of deception. I again won that in court. And now this is the third time that the Home Office is again challenging me. The only difference here is that they've not given me a right of appeal, whereas previously they did give me a right of appeal. In this case, they've not given me any right of appeal. So there is a complete track record of discrimination in my case, where they've always rejected my application on some baseless grounds, and they've lost it in courts. And thankfully, the UK judiciary is independent and is fair, and I won it in the UK courts. This is the third time, the indefinite leave to remain, they've rejected it again, but this time on the basis of criminality, and they've not even bothered giving me a right of appeal.
And why the burden should be on you? The burden should be on them to prove this in a court. I'm going to give a quick example here. It's a recent experience I went through. I was overseas for 2 months. I went to several countries, Europe, Middle East, etc. After I returned and I came here to the United States and I went through the passport control, I'm a U.S. citizen, and all good. And when I was about to board my next plane here in the United States, as I went through the security line, and this is before you go through all the radiation machine, the TSA, Department of Homeland Security guy, as soon as he scanned my boarding pass, checked out my driver's license, my boarding pass, he said, we need to have you stand here for additional security and questioning. And we need to have the head of the TSA in that airport, this is San Francisco airport, to come. So to make a long story short, they made me wait 30 minutes and I'm about to miss my flight. And I kept asking the guy, I'm saying, is this random? He's like, we can't give you that information. I said, well, I have a flight to catch. 30 minutes later, this guy comes, and as he's walking me through extra security, 3 times going through the scan, and I haven't beeped. I have everything. My entry was perfectly fine. I have my American passport. I don't have any criminal record. I asked this guy, who's the head of the security in San Francisco airport, I said, is this random? And he actually looked at me and he said, I can assure you it's not random. I said, well, what is that supposed to mean? Why am I being selected? He said, well, recently you have been placed in this special interest category. I said, how do you define special interest category? What the heck is this special interest category? He said, you know what, you need to ask Department of Homeland Security. We are not in a position to let you know what that special interest category is. In fact, we can't tell you. So they don't have to even tell you here in the United States why you are placed on some special interest category. And I said, is it like a terrorism? We are not at this liberty to tell you about this. So this is what I mean by Kafkaesque. And to go back there, the burden should be on them. In this case, they are preventing even your appeal. In your previous appeals, you have been successful. And at this point, they actually send your wife and your daughter, I believe.
My personal woes have been far greater than my professional ones. The Home Office has done whatever they can to create havoc in my lives. When I applied for the indefinite leave to remain in April 2017, my wife and my born child, UK-born child, had to leave in October because their visa was expiring. And the Home Office had not made up their mind whether they will reject or approve my application by that time. And they were over the 6 months period, the standard 6 month period that they take to decide the indefinite leave to remain application. That had passed by. 6 months were over that. But they still hadn't made up their mind or given me any sort of indication of what the decision will be or when the decision will be taken. So my family had to go back to Pakistan. So both my wife and my 2-year-old child, she wasn't even 2-year-old by then. I missed her second birthday in November. They had to go back. And it's been 8 months up till now. I haven't seen them. The closest the communication I can have with my child is through Skype or FaceTime. And that's how I'm living for the past 8 months.
Saleem, have you been in touch with others with similar cases, these doctors, teachers, IT experts? Have you made the networking connections with them?
Sibel, I'm in touch with a lot of people. I'm in touch with the entire highly skilled migrant group. And there are stories where they are so heartbreaking. It is so often that people can go through such devastations in their life and the Home Office will not even take notice of them. I mean, let me tell you recently, 5-6 days ago, there was a guy whose father died. And his father wasn't feeling well, and he wrote to the Home Office saying, can you please expedite my case, because my father is bedridden and he's, as per doctors, he could die any day. And the Home Office did not even bother replying him back. And his father died, and then he posted pictures of his father's death on social media, and there was no remorse, there was no apologies coming from the department. They don't, I mean, the Home Office have no human empathy. They have no human sensitivity when they are deciding on a migrant's application. I mean, all these people, the families have been torn apart for all these people, including mine. And we're suffering for a crime that we all never committed.
Well, let me emphasize here, we are talking about what is referred to as the liberal Europe, right? This is the liberal civilized Europe versus the barbaric, uncivilized third world countries, okay? That's what we are talking about. And we know that the United Kingdom is not the only country. We are seeing this within the Scandinavian nations. To a large degree, we are seeing this in Germany. And of course, similar stuff have started happening here in the United States. When you meet with these people, based on your observations, Saleem, have you detected any kind of a common theme? We know they are educated, highly skilled IT, doctors, nurses, etc. But have you seen certain percentage of certain nations being higher than others? I mean, for example, do you come across many Eastern Europeans versus, places or countries such as Turkey or Afghanistan or Lebanon, etc.?
Civil, their majority, mainly what I've seen is they're all non-EU nationals, and mainly from the Asian countries like Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and even some African countries, where I've noticed where applicants' visas have been rejected on Article 3225. They've been given no right of appeal, and no access to public health care, and no access to any right to work. It's mainly Asian and African countries.
And as far as the UK politics concerned, here in the United States, we have two parties basically, even though there's supposed to be more, Democrats and Republicans. And in these cases, when you're looking at the House or the Senate, our parliament, our Congress here, you come across these elected officials who are pro or some who are against certain issues, let's say in cases like this. What is the trend in England? Like when you're going to the members of parliaments, let's say either as a group, these people like yourself who have been severely affected by this unjustly, do you observe any differences? Is it something that is party line? Is it some kind of a conflicting case between two different groups in the United Kingdom and with its politics?
Well, there are two main political parties, which is the Labour and the Conservative. Conservative Party is in power right now, which is also known as Tory, the Tory Party. They are in power right now, and Theresa May is the leader of the Conservative Party. I mean, my case is representative, and my local MP, Member of Parliament, is a Conservative, and he's also an implementation minister. His name is Oliver Dowden. He has been very helpful in highlighting my case, and he's also been very helpful in discussing my case in the Parliament. There is no such division here in the government where somebody would support us and somebody wouldn't support us. I mean, we have had several MPs from the opposition party and from the current government who are accepting the fact that Article 3225 has been a misuse in our case. And they have said that this is an abuse of power by the Home Office in order to reach those targets. There has been support from both sides of the government.
One of the articles I read, I believe it was the Guardian article. At the end of the article, they listed several organizations there in England that help people with cases like yours in this particular case. Can you recommend any of those organizations that you have had either experience with or you have heard of who have been active trying to help people in these situations, in this type of positions in the UK right now? As far as, in your opinion, which one of these organizations have been most productive in terms of at least trying to really help, not cosmetic helps? Because we have tons of NGOs in our country here. It's window dressing. They make all these slogans. They want to raise money to say because they have a good cause. But once you go inside these NGOs here in the States, they really don't do anything. They don't even help you represent your case. You have to go and have your own money. And it's much more expensive here in the US, believe me or not, than in the UK. But any organizations there that you have observed and you can say, you know what, these people are doing some good work?
Sibel, I have actually not used or come across any organization that I have asked for help. I mean, there might be other migrants which I'm not informed of have used certain organizations, but I am not actually aware of any organization that is, for example, paying a migrant's legal fee, or is housing a migrant because he can't afford to live. I have not yet come across any organization. There might be some organizations working, but I don't know any particular one.
And where is the court of public opinion in England when it comes to your case and cases like your case? What kind of reactions are you observing on the ground there or reading about? Because the governments are supposed to be representing their people. The conservative parties, this new clampdown on perfectly legal good immigrants like this, are supported, would you say, by the majority of people in England based on your observation being there? Or would you say that this is actually something that most, British are just don't agree with, or they don't like, or they are finding it appalling? Do you see public reactions for the Brits there to these cases? Since there is a coverage, at least Guardian is covering it.
So, well, as per my opinion, I think the British public is in favor of those migrants who are contributing to the economy. And as long as all these migrants are coming in with job offers are paying their taxes, are not abusing the system, or violating any laws, the British public are very welcoming to migrants, and also because of the aging population. I think the aging population is around 16 to 18% by the year 2020. There are serious shortage of skilled workers, and all those jobs have to be filled in. But in my case, I mean, the abuse of power. I mean, I work with 20 British nationals, as you said, and all of them were shocked, completely appalled by the way the Home Office has treated me. And in fact, some of them refer to this as the Home Office are trying to make this into a police state, where you don't basically the Home Office will tell you what to do, and you're not free to do what you want to do. It is shocking for a lot of people who I work with, who know me, like my university professors and my suppliers, my customers, who are completely shocked by the way the Home Office have treated me.
Now, when you have the media covering a case like this and with such public stand, you would think that should translate into some sort of mobilizations, because even with the Tories, even with the Conservative Party there, once they start seeing that this is becoming bad publicity for them, that there are many constituents, and these are the elected MPs, who are screaming and saying, what are you doing? I mean, there is one thing to say we are going to clamp down on bad immigration, illegal immigration. You have cases of, when we have it in Turkey, the refugees come in and there is no checking process. And some of them are legitimate refugees who do need shelter and they come, but blended with them, we have some criminals entering Turkey, and nobody's doing anything about it. So there's a difference with cases like this than cases like that. And for this ridiculous paragraph, the 3225, just that alone, while it's basically floating, saying this is not even a complete regulation or law because it hasn't been drafted or worded in such a way that it would make sense. And obviously, when you went to court, your case stood as you are being on the right, meaning the law is on the wrong side here. It's something that it shouldn't take years to address. It's a new law. They should get on it and they should make the needed revision in order to separate cases such as yours and other people that I have been reading about from those immigrants who have either entered illegally or they have really serious criminal backgrounds. Now, with that, I'm really asking the public in England and say, well, at least your media has been covering this case, okay? And from what I understand and I hear, many of you have enough common sense saying, these are the people who come to our country. They are welcome because they are contributing to our system with what they are bringing, what they are adding. Well, this is where you become responsible as Brits to stand up and say, hold on a second. This makes me ashamed of being even a British person, okay? This is something that we need to step in and therefore contact the MPs, okay? And say, do something about this. That should be the purpose of when these articles come out, not for us to read and shake our head and say, oh my God, like what I did, this is horrible. This is so Kafkaesque. Don't let it just stay there. Just make a move. Sometimes it takes just a call, just a short call to your MP's office. Sure, they're going to put you on hold. Probably you're going to go through the answering service. But guess what? Today, you're able to add your comments and blogs, contact some of these organizations that you believe they are doing a good job, and don't let these people down who have come with the best intention and have made your country a much better place to live, whether through employment, whether through the increased education. It is your responsibility. Those MPs, they are holding those seats, those offices, because of you and your vote. So you are the actual bosses. And if you see this and you have the same reaction that I'm having to it, stand up, make your voice heard. Believe me, with enough voices, there's power in numbers, they are going to hear you. And that is my 2 cents. And I'm going to give another quick example because I still hold that little grudge here. right after World War II, Salim, Germany was going through its rebuilding period. Okay, this is 1950s. So they came to Turkey and they said, we need your skilled workers, whether they're in the mining factors or faction or in the factories, industrial, even shepherds. We need to rebuild our country. We don't have enough people. So millions of Turkish people, labor, they moved to Germany and they started helping Germany build its war-torn country. It was a wreck, Germany. We know what the economy was like in Germany. So these people had their children, and their children had their children. And lo and behold, when some economic crisis happened in Germany, I believe this was around early to mid 1990s, there were these discussions, and there were people in the parliament there, in Congress in Germany, who are saying, we want to send all these Turks who came here right after World War II back. We are looking at after 4 decades. We are looking at 2 more generations. I mean, they had their grandchildren who didn't even speak Turkish. The only thing they had known in their lives were Germany and German language and German culture. And they were actually pushing this law, saying, now we are done with them. We use them. They helped us rebuild it. We want to now send them, all of them, back to their own home country because we need more job openings and more jobs for the real Germans. Well, you think after 3 generations, those people are not real Germans? And again, we are talking about liberal, please read my lips, liberal Europe. And you tell me how many liberal things you can find when you see cases like this. And with that, I would like to thank you, Saleem, and ask you if you have any final message or comments that you want to add before we wrap up this session.
Sibel, I would just like to add here that I hope the Home Office, this interview hits the right people, and somebody in the department listens to this interview and they can see the sense behind it. I just hope the Home Office would reinstate the right of work, the right of medical care, the right of all these migrants, so that they can live their lives while this case is being fought in the tribunal. For them not to have any right of work and for them to live in the way that they're living is a complete a violation of human rights, and something which the British are not known for. So I hope this is dealt with ASAP on an urgent basis.
Well, Saleem, we thank you very much for joining us. You were so humble. You didn't try to push people's emotional button. You were so natural and sincere. You even forgot to mention your daughter has been going through some treatments in hospital there, and you are not able to be there next to your 30 months old, 3 years old daughter. Okay. And I just know how awful that must feel, and how inhuman this implementation is, and the people who are causing it, and the people who are putting these and passing these types of laws, and they're not even concerned about what it means, how it's defined. So we would like to have a follow-up with you. Please keep me posted. You have my email address. We are communicating via Twitter. We are going to have this episode open to all on YouTube because it's a very important case. It's a case that needs to be viewed by as many people as we can get to view it. And we are going to ask our audience, our viewers, to post this elsewhere and let us help mobilize the good English British people out there saying, come on, get off your butts and do something, because you truly can, okay? Just don't shake your head and say, this is terrible. Oh man, this party is awful. Do something about it. Thank you, Saleem. Keep us posted. And if you know of some other cases that you think deserves to be aired and heard, let us know and we'll interview other cases and case examples like this. And let us open that closet and get the stuff out on what's happening in the so-called liberal Europe. With that, I'm Sibel Edmonds with Newsbud, and thank you all.